So congrats on the recent win with New York. How was celebrations?
Oh, cheers, my boy. It was good, G. Looking back now, man, it was such a dream, G. Like I think starting that game compared to like last season when I was with Atlanta, man, I was coming off the bench, so I finished the game, and obviously that was a bit of a sour ending against LA, and so I remember sitting there just watching the whole ceremony and just like realizing I was like not so much realizing, but it's like like I'm gonna be here again. I'm gonna get some form of redemption in the future, and obviously made that transition over to New York, and the next thing you know, we're in the final, and I was like, oh man, this is so good. And I started it. That was like my dream, was to start in the final. Got to start, put in a pretty solid performance, and then the boys just finished the job, man. And there was like probably about 5-6 minutes left, and like it was pretty clear that we were gonna win it. But like I was still like just like come on, like till the last whistle, and then the final whistle blew, man. I was like, wow, we did it! Like it was mad. I was in a dream state. Like my wife Raya was there, and she was just like, what do you feel right now? And I was just like, I don't know. It's just like 6 months, 7 months of really 8 months of like hard work trying to get to this spot, and then finally getting to it and like achieving that goal. It was surreal, man. And what's crazy is like for me, like me going to New York was really a big step that I wanted in order to make it, onto the next USA roster. And now I'm kind of like taking little benchmarks, enjoying the ride. But yeah, man, it was super cool. Like I think the best part about it, in all honesty, was when everyone just started picking up Andy Ellis. It was his last match, and like we raised him higher than the Shield. So I thought that kind of just showed like the brotherhood that we formed in those like 6-7 months together. And yeah, it was. I didn't really get much time to like properly celebrate. I got like a nice little 8 to 12 hours where we had a nice little good few, before
Yeah.
having to jump on a plane off to Houston with the USA lads. But no, man, it was a blast, bro. It was truly a blessing. I tell everyone it was a blessing because, in all honesty, like I think it's really hard to find a group of guys who come together and just build like overall connection. It's awesome to have heart, and it's awesome to have like pride. But like when you have all that and you have like the connection as well, like some of the passes that some of these dudes, it's just trust. Like out the back passes, the no look passes. Like the boys showed up and just put on a great performance. Couldn't be happier.
Unreal. Congrats, bud. And
Thank
when
you.
you say there, like the connection, like how have you built that, like that kind of brotherhood?
I'm sure we'll probably get quite a few laughs from like just other clubs, knowing that like we kind of have like a big like New Zealand background. Like a lot of the guys have played for the All Blacks. Andy played for the All Blacks. Scuds played for the All Blacks. Waholo. We had Eddie Fido on the wing from Samoa. Like there's a lot of like just amazing talent, and you got to be curious to know like is it just going to be a whole bunch of like Chiefs and a few Indians? But really, it was just like everyone kind of just was, just a bunch of group of Indians and just with the same mindset. And I think at the end of the day, it was just cool to see everyone just like really just show like their best form. Really, I think everyone just was trying to give it their best. Like I said, like everyone really kind of knew what the other person had in store. Like if someone had the ball, like I don't know, let's say like Brendan O'Connor had the ball, like that if you just had just the slightest bit of comms to his outside shoulder, he'd know who that person was and would trust enough to get that offload off. And I don't know. I think in teams in the past, even growing up, it's like you dreamt of that connection where you could just trust that that person was there, and then like for it to see like it actually go down and work in like in the favor in which you want it to. Man, it's beautiful rugby. I think we just played really beautiful rugby, and like we just were able to shine at the right time. It was cool.
Nice. Yeah, and it's kind of like you get a feel for it, like when someone's around you or when that ball is on. But the coaches must have helped you to have the confidence to play in that way, did they?
Yeah, so our coaches were Marty Veal and Marty Burke, and having them as our coaches, it was an interesting vibe. It's like coming from Atlanta, it was a bit more like a South African vibe. So it's very much structured rugby. Like this is how you're going to do it, and it was cool. I enjoyed that form of rugby. It was a great learning experience for me, and then obviously making my transition over to New York, getting into the coaching staff as well. It was very much like player led. Like these guys would like give us, like I guess you could say like the protein of our meal, and then like we were the carbs and like the veggies and stuff that was the stuff that we actually burned off of. We just had like, this is what we're gonna do. You guys figure out the plan, and there's just like, oh, like we're in charge as the players now. Like not so much, the coaches. The coaches will kind of give a little bit of direction here and there, but the connections that I built, at least with the front row, tight five, like those guys figuring out scrums, figuring out moles, figuring out lineouts, there's nothing I've been a part of before, and it was really cool experience to just kind of see that and then understand the leadership aspect as well. As like those, we're all on the same level, the coaching staff, the players, the management, we all do just like considered like this giant big family. And like it was just, for me, I think that's what makes a really good rugby team, is knowing that everyone's on the same level, everyone's willing to learn from each other. I think that's what's important in order for the game to grow in the US especially. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, brilliant. And so you mentioned there before, like your next step, like going to New York, and kind of you were, say, coming off the bench in Atlanta and then being a starter. What was the thinking behind going to New York? Was it game time? And
it's kind of like a mix of a bunch of different things, really. Like, I still have all my friends, not all my friends, sorry, but like all the boys from Atlanta, like they were a bit, I would say they were a little bit butthurt, but I would definitely say that they were like a little bit confused by the whole change up. And I think for me, I think where I was at least from experiencing everything that I experienced in Atlanta, I was just like, I think it's time just for a little bit of change. And it might be, some people might think that's a bit quick, some people might not think so, but I think at the end of the day, like when you do something like that, your ultimate goal is obviously to win the Shield, but at the same time, I just felt the need to expand my horizons in a sense, put myself in a bit of an uncomfortable position, and I knew that was going to help me grow as a rugby player. It's like, as much as it like sucked being away from from Raya, because she was enrolled at Life University at the time, and still is. She's still studying away, doing chiropractics. It put a little bit of it put like not so much of a strain on our relationship by any means, but just forced us to communicate better and forced us to focus on our own goals and dreams. And like I know honestly, I would say our relationship's like 10 times stronger than when it was before I left to New York. And I think that's a testimony of its own. But at the same time, from a rugby player's perspective, I think everyone wants to become the best rugby player that they want to be. And like sometimes you have to make a decision whether or not, am I going to get fed here in the areas in which I think I'm going to get fed, or is there a possibility that this might be too silly to pass up on? Like, is this an opportunity where I can actually grow as an individual, grow as a rugby player, grow as a person, like spiritually, mentally, physically, and I think that's what it, like going to New York did for me, is I was able to just truly focus in on my diet, focus in on my sleep regimen, focus on my mental health, focus on my painting and my graphic design work. I was able to do way much more, focusing on the things that I wanted to focus on and chase my dreams, because I have a partner that's loving me so much that she's allowing me and wants me to go after my goals to the best of my ability and be the best that I can be. And I think all in all, it's just like you have to just take those risks. I think in this career, sometimes it might be more comfortable to kind of sit back and be like, I'm gonna sign here again and do what this is because it's what I know. And I think sometimes you just have to throw yourself out there and hope for the best and make the best of it. And I'm not gonna say it was an easy transition by any means. It took me a little bit of time to get used to the New York lifestyle, going from like a southern vibes, southern culture, and then going off into the city and just becoming part of this whole new environment. And it took time, but the thing is like that's with anything. Relationships take time, learning styles take time, and I think at the end of the day, that's what I wanted, and that's what I got.
Awesome, that's brilliant. And so, like, you were an Eagle, and you've been an Eagle for a few years, and you're doing well in Atlanta. Like, for everyone else looking in, like things are going great. But were you kind of like knew that there was more in you, that you needed to grow as a person, as a player, that you were getting a bit comfortable with where you were, and that you needed to kind of challenge yourself a bit more?
I think like what was offered to me, in Atlanta from like a rugby standpoint was great. And I think that's what anyone would ever want, is just an opportunity. And, I took Atlanta as a great opportunity to kind of get my feet in the ground in the professional rugby scene in the States. And, did my 2 years and was happy with it. Was, in a sense, I think, like I said, I think it's just a sense of comfortability, really. It's like, all right, like we got this far. And it's not to say that if I would have stuck around another year, we would have made it to the final. Like, it's not saying that at all by any means. It's just, I think for me as a rugby player and as a person, I think for me, in order to be the best that I can be, I have to continuously put myself in uncomfortable situations. And, Rick Salizo, he was the general manager with New York. He came to me actually on a USA tour leading into those Canada qualifiers earlier last year. And just came and chatted with me, and he was like, "Hey, listen, like, we have heavy interest in you. I know that you kind of ties with Atlanta are kind of being cut right now, but like, I just want to say that I think you're just chatting with you. We just had a small conversation, and just was chatting and just trying to get to know me, and I thought that was really like, I thought that was just really genuine at the end of the day, and he seemed like he was really about me, and I just, in all honesty, I had to take his vibe for it at the end of the day, and I was like, you know what, like, I've been with New York before, actually. I don't know if you know this. I spent I
Yeah.
had 3 games with them in their like inaugural season, and so I kind of had a gist of what I was getting into. But when I finally like made the decision to sign with them and stuff, and come into this new environment, I was just like, it was crazy to see how much you've grown since the beginning, and it's tough to explain, man. I think at the end of the day, like, it's just like you come sometimes it feels like you're risking it all, and it's sometimes there was definitely moments of doubt of whether or not like I made the right decision, and I think any human has those low moments, but it's just like to continuously see the boys back me up, the boys be there for me, like, just on an emotional level. Like, I made really good mates with Troy Lockyer, the 15 from New York, and he was just like the most class, God sent roommate that I could have asked for when I went to New York, and he had my back the entire way, and like I had his, and like, in all honesty, it's just I couldn't have asked for like a better setup at the end of the day. I think like I really like set myself out there, threw myself over the cliff, and just was hoping to get caught, and I just got caught by these wonderful gentlemen that looked after me while I was away from my wife, and took care of me on a mental and physical aspect, in the sense of just being prepared and doing what I wanted to do, which was to play rugby at the end of the day. And I think that's all that anyone can ask for, when you get in those new environments.
Awesome. And you mentioned there like grow spiritually and like the importance of like mental health and that. And is that something that you kind of put it, like, make sure that you've got it nailed down, that that you're looking after yourself first as a person, versus, and you're talking about the guys around you, like you're not talking about the plays on the field or the tactics or the strategies that you had in New York, it's all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you are kind of very aware of getting right?
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this, but like leading into the Uruguay matches, the 2-match Uruguay, like the 2-match qualifier against Uruguay, we got the job done against Canada, and we went to go. We're training in Denver, Colorado, getting prepared for these matches, and I just took a bad elbow to the face and broke my face, just like completely concaved my cheekbone. Sadly, had to get like brought back home. Kind of went off of what I was hoping would be a really good summer, and I had to do a lot of reflecting. It's like I already missed the European England tour because of like a PCL injury, and then breaking my face set me out for another 2 matches as well. And at that point, I was like, I realized that I've already missed 5 possible cap opportunities to like represent my country, and like, and be able to like perform at what I thought I was being my best at, and that kind of just like put me in my place. I was like, all right, like, this is obviously, like, it kind of just puts things in perspective, in the sense that like, all right, if rugby is actually taken away, today, taken away tomorrow, taken away yesterday, like, like, how am I going to react? How am I going to feel about that? And I think taking that all into consideration, like, I really was able to focus on myself and focus on like my overall dreams of like, who am I as like a person, not so much as a rugby player. I think a lot of people get caught up. I have a lot of friends actually who get caught up in the sense that all they are is a rugby player, and it's tough to see because like I care about these people, I care about my own health, and they don't. A lot of these people just don't have the proper outlet or proper person to chat with about these things, and I think it's just a sense of identity. And for me, I was lucky enough to study at university like graphic design and stuff, so I had like a little bit of an outlet other than rugby. But I continuously put majority, if not all, my chips every time in the rugby thing, and it's just like you continuously chase this dream, and when little things like that happen, you have to just remind yourself, I'm not this guy 24/7. Like when the notepad goes down and the review books go down, like who am I still at the end of the day? Oh, I'm Chance Wenglewski. Like I'm very much this person who likes to interact with people, have crack up chats, like draw pictures on the sides, like design tattoos here and there for the boys. Like that's the person that I am at the end of the day, and that's something that can live with me for until I rest my head at the very end of the day. So continuously focusing on that, but also at the same time being grateful that I have this outlet, but also grateful that I get to play this rugby. It's just a sense of overwhelming like gratefulness at the end of the day. And I think I just for me anyways, my wife is, I keep going back to her, but really she's got me going into this holistic approach with life in the sense of like breath work, yoga, tremendous amounts of stretching, like taking care of my body and like being aware of my mind, being aware of my body, and like how, if I don't feel well today, like let's maybe just sit back, maybe just sit down, do some controlled breathing and really figure out what's going on with me physically, mentally, seeing where my mind's at. And I think that really just helps, in all honesty, with just trying to figure out where I am in the world right now. I think so often or not, like people just try to get, trying to think of the next step, and it's just not there yet. Like it's just simply not there yet. And I think that's what at the end of the day is that I'm getting at, is like there's so much more to this life and than rugby. And I think it's so cool when like people get the opportunity to like just like even right now just chat about this kind of stuff, because a lot of people just don't see what's behind the rugby play. They don't really get to have that aspect of like what's really going on in this dude's mind other than footy. And in all honesty, like I'm an art freak. I love art. I like to just draw tattoos and draw pictures and stuff. So for me, like that's another outlet of mine that just keeps me in that mental headspace of just being happy all the time, man. I find life's too short, bro. There's things that you can control and there's things you can't control, and I try to focus my stuff on what's controllable and what I can do now. So
I love it. Yeah, I love it, bud. And something you mentioned there, like the breath work and yoga and all that. And breath work, I kind of happened upon it like 2-3 years ago, maybe, and it blew my mind. It's life changing. Like just understanding like how you can connect to your breath and understand like the power of your breath. And like you say there,
yes.
when you're having a day and it's just not going well, we all have them, like everyone, and it's just the power of understanding your breath and how you can breathe well and connect back to it and just become present.
No, I couldn't agree more. I was literally taking like an ice bath like just the other day, and like I don't know if like in Chile right now it's winter time, so it's like it was like the pool's outside, the boys are cracking up saying, oh yeah, it's like warm, go have a nice like dip inside, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I was like, surely it's not like room temp set or whatever. Jump in, the water's freezing cold, like sitting there, get what I need to get done, get out immediately, and I just immediately just like sit down, get control of my breath. And I just felt just like so at home within my own body, knowing that I was wet, knowing that I was cold, and I was able to just like truly embrace the moment for what it was. Like I'm recovering right now. Like this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm getting myself right for tomorrow. Like this all for a purpose. And I think it's like, yeah, like you said, like the breath work really just brings you back. It really just brings you back to like that centered state.
Yeah. And you mentioned there like the journey of like chasing the dream and the next step. How, and I'm sure you've achieved a lot of dreams along the way. Like winning the championship, playing with the Eagles, like different things. But how do you kind of look at that? Do you pick things you want to achieve, but then make sure that you're not always focusing on the next step, that you are enjoying the day to day, like where you are?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always like kind of been like very like emotionless at times, and I think I think some people think that's a bit weird of me. In all honesty, like almost a little too calm and collected when I should be all right to just like kind of just blow up and like be a little bit of a spastic and just have like a crack, you know. But I don't know. I think it's good to just kind of be in this sense of like knowing that it's okay when things are good and being okay when things are bad. And I think like having that is kind of like my guideline through life. It's been able to allow me to enjoy things a bit more, knowing that like if I just like, let's say I just, just have, a cracker of a day and just like, beside myself with how, great I played, like, what is that going to do for me the next time I put on the shoes and have the next match? And let's say I don't reach the expectations of that last match that I played, like, how am I going to feel knowing that like, all right, like you performed this well in this match. How come I didn't play it this well in this one? And then I might, I think like that might almost like allow me to kind of dip a bit in the sense of like, oh, like, oh, what did I do wrong? And like kind of go into like a little bit of a lull. And I think it's just like understanding like, oh yeah, I had a great game. Pat yourself on the back, enjoy the moment for what it is, celebrate with the boys when the time comes. But knowing that, if I do have a bad game or I don't have a game that's like maybe up to my standards of play or whatever, like I need to go back and just understand that, like, you know what, it's okay. Everyone doesn't have a great day. Like I think there was a couple times, even in the MLR season, where, I had like not the best game. And it was clear as day I didn't have the best game. And I had the repercussions of being put on the bench a few times. And, I think those are just learning moments at the end of the day. It's like, all right, like I didn't perform my standard and someone else saw that. And I have to be okay with that. And I might be getting a little bit of a repercussion by, maybe being on the bench or something. But how can I make this become a learning moment so that I feel even more confident, being in the position I am, being comfortable with the position I am, so that when the time does come for when I do get to start again, that I'm gonna be lights out and I'm gonna be ready for that moment when the time comes. And I think that's kind of like my journey throughout this past season, beginning of the season. Then I went through like a little bit of like a growing stage where I was on the bench for quite a few games in the season, and then right at the end of the season, had the opportunity to start the last few games, and even the final, and just managed to get the job done in the right place at the right time. So it's just, I think it's being, like I said, like just aware of it all, but also at the same time, like you said, just enjoying the moment, but at the same time not being overly pumped. I don't know. I think I'm just a mellow person in general, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting what you're saying there about like you have great games, whatever. Like people have great games, but then like when you don't have them, I think like what you're kind of saying is just accept that, or just allow yourself, not be, because what we all do is beat ourselves up so much for weeks and months, like you have a bad game and it's just like beating yourself up. What you're saying there is, it's just accepting that you've had a bad game, and how can you learn from it and move on.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's just like, especially like in a rugby environment, it's like you're constantly feeling, even if nothing's set, like you can kind of almost feel the pressure of maybe coaching staff or like other teammates that like, listen, like I can see that you're not like performing at your best right now. And like you have to just be able to like kind of almost block that out in a sense for your own mental state. Because if you continue to focus on what other people are thinking of you, I find that you can almost like it almost affect your performance even more. And
Mm.
it's just, so you have to continuously just like reset yourself. Like I was reiterating before, it's like, hey, this is about me. Like if I'm enjoying the game, that's all that really matters. And like if I know that this is a learning moment, that's all that matters. If I'm growing from this moment, that's all that matters. And like just continuously trying to push for that next step forward. Because I think at the end of the day, whether it be rugby, whether it be life, it's all about, how can we make that next step forward? How can we like put ourselves, again in that uncomfortable position to allow ourselves to be the best that we can be. And maybe I'm just listening to like a lot of like professional speakers who are just talking about this concept. but at the same time, it's so true. It's like you have to keep moving forward. Like there's no reason to just lull in the past because it's already been done.
Yeah. What professional speakers you like listening to?
And maybe this is the flaw in me. I don't know any of the speakers that I've been actually listening to. They just like social media feeds
Yeah.
are just literally littered with just like famous quotes, famous this, like famous speakers just chatting, and I never take track of any of the names, bro. That's I need to start doing a better job at that, just so I can actually be better at referencing. But no, that's what's on my social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too. No, I love that. And I love what you're saying as well about blocking out the kind of outside noise, like with the pressure of, like, say, selection or coaches or this or that, the other, like you say, like not listening to that and just focusing on your next step and enjoying, you said, like enjoying your rugby and just going for that next step and not getting hung up on all the other things that are going around in the world outside.
Yeah, it's so easy to just be like someone like or a coach pointing something out that you did wrong and just be like, I know what I did, you know. But at the same time, it's like if you knew what you did, you wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, just like come with a humble aspect with everything that you learn. Come with like this mindset, like whatever someone tells me, I'm gonna take it like on the chin, but I'm also gonna like take it on my chest, knowing that like this is only gonna benefit me. These are positive things, like reinforcing that positive aspect, because so often or not, like people find, you know, if I say something to you about how your game was played over the weekend, you know, someone sadly might take it sideways. And the truth is, I'm just here to help. And I've been the same way with just like me noticing things with other players and people as well. It's like, hey, I'm here to help at the end of the day. And it's all positive, it's all good vibes. And I think it's like, I think if players and people can kind of take that and better themselves in that sense, I think, man, we'll be in such a better place just in general, just in the world. But that's just me.
100%. I read a good book recently called The Four Agreements. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's it's pretty simple. It's like four agreements, but one of them is don't take anything personally. So it's like, you know, like what you're saying there is you know, someone says, oh, hey, Brian Chance, whatever, you know, you could have had your hands up a bit more when you were trying to catch that ball or whatever. Gives you a little pointer. They're not like attacking your character and you as a person. They're just trying to just give you a little thing to help you
Yeah.
to get better as a player. You know, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's truly like a mindset change. I think at the end of the day, for a lot of people, and it's taken me a little bit of time to kind of figure that out. But like now that I know that, you know, people are only here to help me, and that it's always continuously growing, you know, growing moment. It really can only just open up, you know, the horizon for everybody, whether it be rugby, whether it be, you know, jobs, whether it be, you know, art career, you know, just whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just all a journey at the end of the day. I think it's funny because so much is like constant. A lot of people, and I don't know if that's just like a Midwestern thing, but it's always like goal driven. It's always just like, how can I get to the end? But it's like it's honestly not the truth. Like it's just so much more the journey than anything. And it's just for me, it's like being here with USA, like my dream is to be here, but at the same time, it's just like, how far can I take this trip? Like, how long can I, you know, ride, you know, being with these international superstars and just like allowing myself to grow and allowing myself to become this, like, what I believe can become like a great, you know, like a great rugby player. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to where I am, where I've come from and been, and where I'm at now. It's truly a blessing.
That's brilliant. And yeah, it's interesting to say about the Midwestern or whatever, about the goal orientated. And something, a quote I like is, I'm not sure it's a quote anyway, but you never arrive, you never make it. So you think about it, you're never like satisfied. You always want more. So it is, you have those goals, but it's so important, like you say, just to enjoy the journey, like just to really soak it all in and just to enjoy every step.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, man. It's the God's honest truth. I just find that it's just, you know, like journey is going to end when we're not going to know it's ended because we're going to be dead. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. One day it's just
yeah. So you just might as well just like put your head down, grind, have a smile on your face, and just enjoy every step because, man, it's just like I said, like you said it as well. Like life's too short, man. It's too short to just like pass up an opportunity. Like just chatting with you, man. Like I couldn't pass up the opportunity, bro. Like it was too good to see. Like you pop up on my feed. I was like, oh boy, it's time.
Yeah. And so how did you get started playing rugby? So back in Oklahoma, you were, from what I gathered, a high level wrestler. I remember seeing you with Dion and Trevor in the wrestling room, and you boys going at it. And then the football team in Lindenwood, you were there for a semester, and they were mad to get you playing there. So what, wrestling, football, and then what was high school like with sport?
Yeah, man. So like, man, I never had like an off season when I was in high school. Like I literally just went from like, so it all started with like rugby. No, sorry, it started with football and wrestling. I started like played football literally since like grade one. Like it was always like football was the dream, like the American dream. Like play football all the way, get a college scholarship. A possibility of likelihood comes to like I go to the NFL, go to the NFL. That's just a dream. That was like every kid in Oklahoma's dream was to make it to the NFL, and I was one of those kids. So literally just played football. Got, with the wrestling coach came out, I think grade 8 for me. It was like, yo, you're a massive unit. Like, we'd love to have you on the wrestling team. And like for me, I was just like, oh. But the guy was so good at peer pressuring you to just come to a training that I was just like, I must have had no self-esteem to just be like, no, I'm not doing it. So I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And then just like got bought into it, fell in love with the whole system of it. The concept of just like winning a one-on-one against someone was just like unheard of. It's just like the most macho thing you can do is just like manhandle another person who's the same size as you. And I fell in love with that. But then my freshman year came in high school and got invited from a buddy of mine whose older brother actually invited me. It wasn't even my friend. We didn't even play sports together. It was just a good friend that I grew up with in elementary. His older brother asked me, he was like 4 years older than me. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be here out with the big boys. And he's like, no, like you're a big unit. And he's like, come out and like give it a try. I was thinking, no. My mom was like, give it a try. Like you have like the season between football and wrestling that you can, so might as well do it. Go out there. I'm like trying to block kids. And they're just like, no, like you don't do that. And I'm like, all right, like I won't block kids. But then like threw me a ball and I had the opportunity to run with it. Never had the opportunity to do that. And just immediately fell in love with the game. Like a couple of days later, a couple more trainings, I was just like, yeah, this is sick. Like I'm gonna keep doing this. And literally did that for 4 years, just like no off season, just kept playing. Like, wind, sleet, and snow, just like did all the sports, football, then right into wrestling, and then from wrestling right into rugby. And like it was just a great like high school experience for me. I was always busy, and I think it was a good thing for me because it kept me out of trouble for the most part. Like not a lot of free time when you're constantly just bashing yourself against people and stuff. So I was like, all right. But yeah, then I kind of told my wrestling coach I wasn't going to pursue wrestling in college, and he was like, all right, no worries. So he kind of like held on to like those letters from other colleges for me just to kind of keep it out of my head, because I know that if I were looked at it, it might make me second, like guess my original feelings towards it, and decided not to. He was good with that and keeping those away from me. But yeah, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go out to college visits. Football was still kind of like my goal. And yeah, Lindenwood reached out to me and they were like, hey, like we'll give you this, we'll give you a scholarship. And I was like, for sure. I was like, but I also knew that Lindenwood had like a great rugby program. I was like, oh man, like surely there's like a possibility I can like do this in like the spring once the football season is done. And yeah, I was like, all right, I'll sign. I'll do what you guys want me to do. Go to football, but I'll only come if like let me play rugby in the spring. They're like 100%, like totally do that. Go to Lindenwood, get redshirted. But the thing is, they I think football made a mistake, man, because they put me in the dorm with all the rugby boys, and like there was a football dorm room, but there was a rugby dorm room, and I was chilling, and like they moved me there first, and I think that was the flaw. They should have moved me with the football boys, and maybe would have kept me in it a little bit longer. But living with those guys, living with like that culture, living with those good vibes, like once spring came around, I was already knew all the rugby boys because I was living with them pretty much. Went into rugby. Rugby season ends, had a great experience. Time for me to go back to football. I'm like, oh man. I'm gonna have to just tell him. And I had to go to my coach for my position. I was like, listen, my guy, like, I think this is it for me, man. I think I'm gonna stick with the rugby. And he's like, all right. And like that was it. Like he was like, that's what you want to do. Like, I get it, man. It's your college, experience, college career. And I was like, yep. Yeah, and just stuck with rugby ever since. And JD Stevenson was the head coach at the time. And he got me out. Like, I give a lot of props to him for getting me the pull in directions and with USA, with collegiate All-Americans, and then managing to go on a few APC tours, going to Uruguay, Montevideo, and just kind of getting some second side USA stuff. And I was like, oh man, this is really going down. Like, I'm playing with some of these like bigger name cats who have been playing rugby for a long time, and was just soaking it in, just like trying to get as much experience as possible. And that was pretty much my college experience, man. It's like I just invested at that point just fully into rugby. And then like if I wasn't going on tour with like USA, I was gonna continue to play games with the Linwood lads, and we were very successful, for the time being, and continue to be successful. And I like to think that, just I like to feel like I left my mark there, but in all honesty, those guys left a mark on me. Like I literally went and saw the Linwood, actually announced in it, the Linwood Army semifinal match. Yeah, and like they like one of the announcers was like, yo, you want to do this? And I was like, for sure, like I'm definitely coming out. And so I got to announce and like cheer the boys on, and like, oh man, it was such a great experience. And like it was crazy because a lot of those kids, even your little brother was there, man. I was like, no way, is that little mini Moi Moi? I was like, oh, how good. And like was giving him shout outs on the mic and stuff. And I was like, this is so class. Like this is like any alumni's dream right now, to just be like helping and like trying to give these guys like words of encouragement from like the stands. So it was a great experience. But yeah, that was pretty much my like kind of build up into like my rugby career. I was still in college, and it was before the MLR draft and stuff. So I kind of was able to slip in kind of like on my own terms. And Scott Lawrence reached out to me. He's like, hey, like, we'd love to have you in Atlanta. And I was like, man, like I respect you so heavily as a coach and as like a person. Like I'm there. Signed with them. Still had a little bit of time left in my school. So, but the thing is like, I was like, you might have thought to just go on loan with like New York, and went to New York, played a few games with them, finished that, came back, loaded all my stuff up. And then as I'm like trying to like get everything sorted with my apartment with Raya to like go to Atlanta, like I get the call up for the World Cup. And I'm like, hey, yo. So like I like jump on a plane literally like the next day to Japan, and just had an amazing experience there with those guys, just seeing like the professional environment, seeing all these like fantastic rugby players, just being a part of it was just a dream come true, because that's been my goal, and it still is my goal, is to be able to like play in a Rugby World Cup. And so still chasing those dreams. And that's just where I'm at right now. I'm chasing that dream. That's my dream right now. And I know at the end of the day, like whether that dream becomes a reality or not, like it's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey. Like I said, I'm enjoying every step of the way. Being here in Chile, getting this opportunity to, do a qualifier match to, get the boys in. It's just what priority number one is right now. It's just been a blast. It truly has.
Unreal. And that's class. And so when I remember around that time, it was when I went to Lindenwood, when you were like switching football, rugby, and when you decided to go all in, like just leave football, you had already left wrestling, just be a rugby player. What were your thoughts there? Like you said, you loved the game. Was it just that you loved the game, or did you see like USA stuff on the horizon? Were you kind of like opportunity wise, or why did you choose that? Why did you say goodbye to football?
I think it was just in all honesty, probably like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Like I think it was just like every. I hate to say this because there's a lot of good football players out there that are like truly amazing people, and it's like no hate to the guys in Lindenwood. I just felt that for me personally, the guys that were in this rugby culture with me is like they were all just like they were just like brothers, and you could see that they were playing for each other. And I think like sometimes for football, it's there's a lot of just like me. It's a lot of me, and it's tough to like kind of figure out, all right, is it me or is it us? And I think maybe it was the time period I was in with Lindenwood. Lindenwood's football team wasn't doing too hot, and I think I just saw like a lot of just individuals rather than like a team. And I think that I think I was craving just that team environment, and football just wasn't giving it for me. And it's like I was, and maybe that's kind of the thing is maybe I hate to say that I was like getting burned out of the sport because like I love the sport. I played it for like 14, 15 years, and I was just like, yeah, like maybe this isn't about the sport anymore. Maybe this is something bigger. Maybe this is something like the brotherhood and the friendships that can actually properly last like a lifetime. And I think that's just what rugby was for me. It was just like a new sense of like home. It was home away from home for me. And like I think that's what the rugby culture did for me. I think so the rugby boys and the coaching staff did for me is like they made me feel one, with that group. And it was just like no one was an outsider. I mean, you know how it was. Like everyone was welcome to do anything and everything with each other. And it was just like that's just how it was. And for me that's what drew me in. I think at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I get to run with the ball, and I think that's sweet. But at the same time, like I can go hang out with these dudes like at 3 a.m. just doing God knows what. So it's like, I mean, who wouldn't pass that up at the end of the day? I think.
Yeah, 100%. I know what you mean. Like football is a bit kind of individualistic. Even the way the game is, like just it's kind of you do your role and you don't really interact with other people on the field so much. Even you run your route, you do your thing, whatever. And it's funny what you say with the boys as well. The rugby, like it's just so many different people from all over the world. And I even saw as well when I went there, just like hanging out with someone from South Africa, you from Oklahoma, some other fella, just all these random lads. It's just everyone just hanging out and just chilling.
Yeah, no, it's like seriously so cool. And like it's funny to think about it. Like if you look at even just like the US as a whole, and like you pull someone from like let's say like LA and someone from New York and then like someone like me from like Oklahoma, it's like three totally different day, man. And it's like you get them in the same room and like you manage to like all be able to connect because you play rugby. It's just like the coolest thing I think anyone can do. And oh man, it was just cool. Like people just came from different environments, different cultures, and like everyone was able to express that and share like stories and stuff. And like, oh man, you can't beat that at the end of the day. It's like it's just unreal.
100%. And something you mentioned there a while back, just that you were saying like, oh, on tour now and just like so grateful to be around the players that you're around and whatever. And it's do you never kind of feel like you're the man, do you? Like you just seem very like, grateful to be there versus like, oh, this is my team now. Do you get me? Even though you've been like you got capped like a number of years ago.
Yeah. So man, I think it's just so easy to like just be your most authentic self, whether it be on the pitch and off the pitch. Like I said before, like I've always kind of been a bit of a laid back guy, and just like being around people, like having conversations, whether it be serious or silly. And for me, like I think you can. I think for me, I think some people do, in a sense, look up to me, and I think that's great and awesome and stuff. But I try my best to just remind people that we're all on the same level. I think it's kind of the same thing with how I manage like my emotions and I manage like the high moments and the low moments. It's just like, we're all in this together at the end of the day. And it's like, I think that's the second I start getting any form of like an ego, I think that might be the time where I probably need to take a step back. But like right now, it's just like there's too much to give and like too much to like receive in order for me to like get any bit of like an egocentric leadership role. Like I'm always in the constant like servant's mentality with anything. And I think it's for me, I feel most healthiest when I'm giving and like giving my best and like constantly putting myself in a place of learning, always having like that student mentality. And yeah, there's definitely times and places where I need to step up and, obviously like speak, and from the leadership perspective, and I take those opportunities when they come. But at the same time, I don't think for any reason at all really that I need to be anyone other than just who I am. And I think like from like just you asking me that question, like I appreciate you even asking me it, because I think it's just like it puts me in check and makes me wonder like how I'm perceived for others. And I think it just reminds me that we're all on the same level.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And you just gotta be yourself at all times and keep being who you are. And I think when you step outside of that, you're just not being your authentic self, like there's just a disconnect, and it's
Yeah,
not, yeah, there's just a disconnect and you won't be comfortable, if ever, at times, sometimes, I don't know, even like when you're a teenager, you're trying to fit in at different ages and places, and you try and put on a different persona or be someone else to try and fit in, or to try and, because you think that's what people want you to be or how you need to be. You're not happy, are you?
yeah, yeah. No, I think you're completely right. Like someone might get butthurt because you're sitting by yourself at the dinner table. It's just simply like okay to be alone at times as well. And I think like for me in general, like I don't need to please everybody. Like I know I'm not gonna be able to please anybody, like everybody. And it's like at the same time, like me and my wife, we have all these like crazy chats. It's just like if I were to hang the boots up tomorrow, like in all honesty, in all retrospects, like I'm not gonna be remembered forever. Like it's as simple as that goes. And like it's like I have to come with terms with that, and I have come to terms with that. At the same time, it's just like, you know, it's okay. Like I think it's just being okay with knowing that tomorrow isn't promised, but at the same time, like I don't need to please everybody right now. Like, and I think it goes right back to like the whole outside pressures thing as well. It's just like I can constantly weigh myself down on the possibilities of like tomorrow, but like today's only given. So it's just like, well, let me just enjoy it for me. And if I'm able to be a light in someone else's life today as well, like all the merrier, man. Like all the merrier.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And two things you said there. And the first thing, coming at a life from a servant mindset or point of view, and then also not trying to please everyone. And it's just two things that I've found, just when you're saying them, they're just resonating, that when you try and just serve others and just help others, it's the most like selfless thing and selfish thing, because it's selfless because you're helping others, but it's selfish because you get so much from it. Like I find when I'm coaching, it's like I started with you guys and I've been doing it for years now, and it's like I just get so much from, like, I just love it. But yet
Yeah,
it's helping others so much as well. So if you can just get out of yourself, when I was younger, I didn't get this and it's all about you. But when you just step out of yourself and just help others, it's like you feel great. And when you
yeah,
realize as well, like you say, that you can't please everyone, don't try and please everyone. It's so good for your mental health. It's just like, I'm just going to try and be a good person. I'm going to try and just help people where possible, of course, just where possible, just be a nice person, help them if I can. And then I can't please everyone. And it's just, that's it. And then hopefully wake up tomorrow.
yeah. And like, you just find yourself stressing out over the most littlest of things. Like I still have a hard time just saying no. It's as simple
Mm,
as that. At the end of the day, I think
mm,
saying no is such like a powerful thing. And like
yes.
even like a person for me, like having like this dual wield of like being able to draw and stuff. Like guys are like always asking like, "Yo, can you draw? Can you design this tattoo?" And I'm like, "Yes, hell yes, for sure. I'm totally down." And it's like, do I have the time right now? Actually, no, I probably don't actually have the time. But like, let's make time in the future where we can like get some of like your thoughts and dreams and what you want like modified on your body. Like, let's get that. Let's put the time aside. Let's have a coffee, and like take the stress out of it completely, and just be like, all right, like let's plan. Let's like have something set up for the future. And man, it's cool. I can't say it enough. It's just cool. Being
Yeah.
around these guys, being around like these coaching staff, like we're bringing in like some really world class people, and it's just like really cool to just experience, you know, from in my own shoes, like what they have to bring to the table. And the thing is like I'm not the only one living this way. Like it's so cool to see and like hear from these other guys from other parts of the world that that they're kind of living by the same ethos in a sense.
Mm. And so talk to me, I always remember you drawing as well, yeah. And talk to me about like your graphic design and your drawings. And so like it's something that you've always or loved doing for quite a while, I imagine. But so you went to school, you did a course on it, and so what are you doing right now? Like how is that in your life? Or like what part is graphic design and drawing in your life?
Yeah, so it's funny, man. Like I was like, I don't know if you know this, like I was originally a business major when I went to Lindenwood G. So like yeah, like my first semester, I signed up as business. My dad was like, listen, man, like, you can't go wrong with a business degree. But dad, you're right. You definitely can't go wrong. And like I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna do the business thing. And like I did the business thing. And, like first, like I did one business class, and I was like, I just kept like drawing, like just simply just doing doodles like in my notepad while I'm doing this class. And like I was obsessed with longboarding, like always bombing that hill.
Yeah,
I
I
live
remember.
just waving to people as I'm just zooming by. I'm just like, I love longboarding, I love drawing, I love rugby. And like I was just like I was in this business class and I was like, you know what, like let's make up this concept of like having like a longboard like business shop, like where you can go on campus and like rent a deck out and like cruise around campus on it. And like I designed like all these like longboards for it. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is what I want to do. Like, as much as like I want to like be able to know how to run a business stuff, which is great. Like, I just want to draw, man. Like, I just want to simply just draw pictures. And but at the same time, I was like, man, if I ever get like the point where I can tattoo people, I think that'd be so sick. Because then I'm really bringing everyone's dreams to life because it's like on their body permanently. It's not going anywhere. And yeah, so I was just like, yeah, art's the way for me. And like I did the whole graphic design fine arts degree, and I don't know, I just no one was like doing my style, and I felt unique because of that. And so I was like, all right, like if I have this like the unique style, I know it's a unique style, like how can I apply this to like anything and everything that I do? I know that like rugby's kind of the direction I'm going, but like how am I going to be able to like incorporate this love for art and design? And I was just like, all right, like I'll figure something out. And I remember in particular, I did like an internship with like Austin Lee, who are like the AGs now, and they had me like designing like this like player book that has like all the players and like their like where they're from and like position and stuff. And I was doing that. I was like, this is fun, this is cool. But it was like a taste of like me combining like rugby and design together. I was like, all right, this is me. And did that. It was cool, great internship experience. And then I get the opportunity to go to Atlanta, and they have this giant like open like wooden wall like in their gym. And it was just like I was actually really good buddies with the manager at the time, Kevin McCory. And like he's like, listen, man, there's a few buckets of paint over there, like literally just like they use to like paint the walls, just like one solid color. There's some paint buckets over there, man. Paint like a giant ass snake on this wall. And I'm like, he's like, any like in my style, like in a particular style. He's like, nah, do your style, do it the way you want to. And yeah, I just like full on blasted this wall with this giant ass mural, this mean snake. And I was like so proud of it. And it's like, oh man, like they got me like a lift thing so I could get up and down things like a 50-foot tall, 30-foot tall wall or something. I couldn't tell you how tall it was. But yeah, like I had this whole wall to work with. I was like, it's so mean. First ever mural done. Like you just trusted in me. And I was truly honored to like even get the opportunity to do it, and did it. And I was like, this is so mean. Like this is so classic. I was so just happy with the experience, and did that. And then they were like, yo, like we're gonna get like a secondary logo as well. And I got to do like what I actually studied for in school. I was able to manage and make like this like new like rattlesnake design, with a collaboration of like two other guys. And I was like, this is so mean. Like I'm actually getting it. And then they made like these mean like basketball tee jerseys with my logo on it. And I was like, oh, like it's like finally coming true. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like, and like it was just seeing like the different dreams of mine like kind of become reality. And it was just like a great experience. And then I go to New York, and they knew about the mural, and they were like, yo, like, would you want to make a mural for us too? I'm like, for sure, let's do it. So I'm like, all right, and they give me this huge wall, and like I was like, all right, like this is a mean wall, like I'm gonna do this, and like I'm still working on it, man. Like this wall is massive. I couldn't tell you how long it is. It's or how big. I'll have to send you a picture in the future, but I would say I had like I thought I was gonna get done by the end of the season, and in all honesty, it's gonna take me at least another season to get it knocked out. And luckily enough, like my contract doesn't end until like a little bit later, so I'm chill. So I got more time with it. But yeah, so I'll be working on another mural still. And then they released like 2 of my like t-shirt designs for the final. And like what made me super happy, and Raya was so ecstatic to like see what was going on like outside of like the rugby pitch, like where the concession stands and where like the like the t-shirts and stuff were being sold, because there was a mean line, bro, and they were trying to get up my designs, and I was like, oh, how good. She's like, yeah, Chancellor, like they're selling like hotcakes. I was like, I just like was filled with like so much like pride and like so much like joy, knowing that like I was able to like bring my designs to life, and knowing that people were loving them as much as I was loving them. And it was just like, it's truly fulfilling when you get fulfilled on both ends of the spectrum. It's like not often or not like you get the opportunity to, if you have like 2 quote unquote gifts to like, be able to share with everybody. And it was just like a great opportunity for me. And like, that's kind of where I'm at now, is like I'm having these opportunities to make some really rad t-shirt designs, and I'm getting opportunities to like put paint to wall and have like murals being made. And for me as like a graphic designer, like I've always been like very much a hands-on person with a sense of like painting and like sense of like drawing like 2-dimensional pieces, and just like being able to like put it on merchandise, and just like wanting to get it out there, just get it out there. And now it's like finally occurring. It's just like cool to see, 2 parts of me, or 2 careers really like kind of go in the direction that I'm wanting it to. And it's truly a blessing. And it's cool to see both of them like kind of intertwine to like complement each other really. And it's been awesome, because like I know, like I said, the day is gonna come where I'm gonna have to hang the boots up, but like, people might forget the rugby chants, but like I can still, continuously do like this art career thing. And it's like, just like I said, it's just a blessing.
Yeah, that's unreal. And I saw the Rattler in Atlanta. I remember I followed them on you and obviously on social media, and I remember seeing that, and I was just like, whoa, that's incredible. I haven't seen the New York one. Send it on to me.
Yeah.
And do you have so are you doing tattoos? Like, are you designing them, or are you actually doing them as well? Or
So if I said that I was doing them, my mom would probably get pretty mad, because she's all
I'll
about
edit that out then.
yeah. So I'm not doing anything of that sort. Have I done some in the past that might be against laws? Probably. But nah, man. Yeah. So I've done a few. I had a machine at one point, and it sadly broke. But me and Ryan have chatted it over, and it's like machines and stuff are pretty pricey, but like we were like, all right, like you get a few things for your chiropractic, career and stuff, and like maybe I'll invest in this and practice on oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's kind of the plan right now. As of right now, like I'm kind of like self-taught myself like how to stick and poke tattoos. And it's just like an easy way of just like getting like pen to paper with like a peach or a banana or whatever, and just like practicing like that. But it's cool, man. Like I've done a few, and it's just like, oh man, like so rad. Now people are like knowing that I'm doing it. I'm like, listen, like I can't charge. I don't know what the laws are. So like let's just like, if we're gonna do them, we'll just don't worry about it. Let's just have fun with it, And let me let this be a learning experience. So, and everyone's like, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, man. So at the end of the day, if I can build up some form of a portfolio before actually entering like the real world, and like I do want to pursue, like tattooing as like a proper like career, like after rugby, like that'd be me. That'd be so sick. But right now it's like, as far as like kind of getting the whole thing, as far as like managing rugby and like getting like an apprenticeship or something, I don't know how that will work out, because of like the busy schedules of rugby, man. It's just like nonstop for like 6 months, and then you're like off, but then it's like you're not, and then it's like I wouldn't know how to even like where to begin really. But I mean, hey, if anyone watches this and has some proper contact, man, like reach out for sure. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is right now. Right now, it's just for fun. It's just like bringing guys' dreams and ideas to life, and that's what it's about.
Nice.
It's
Nice. Yeah, maybe in the future, who knows? And well, something you mentioned there, which, I just think is so incredible when you said like, oh, I'm just getting fulfilled from both sides, like doing your graphic design and doing your rugby, and things are happening. Like you're doing what you love, and like you were in this business course and it wasn't you. And then you're like, I love, what was it, playing rugby, doing graphic design, longboarding or whatever. So it's just like, you just kept doing what you do. And this is something that I just think is so important, that, and I believe that if you do what you do and you truly like kind of go all in it, like doors open, things happen, like things just happen. Like you didn't plan on setting up a t-shirt stand at an MLR match ever, but it just happened because you just kept doing what you love. And then all of a sudden, like people see that you're doing what you're passionate about and you're good at it. And then people help you, and then this door opens and this door opens and things just happen. But if you keep doing what you don't love doing, you're never going to be good at it. You're never going to, you'll have no passion, and doors, it's just a slog. So I just think it was funny just you saying that. I think it's just so true. Just, you gotta go all in on what you love doing and things just happen. It's funny.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I can't say enough. Like I've truly been blessed with the people that I've come in contact with. Even from the beginning of the journey, like Tracy Todd, like Jason Todd, like those people took me underneath the rugby wing at the very like origin of my rugby career, and like they just gave me like this family aspect in it. And then like next thing you know, like I'm meeting JD Stevenson, and like he's becoming part of USA, and like he's taking me with him with his journey. And then like next thing you know, like I meet Gary Gold, and like I'm meeting like Sean Pittman, and like all these like guys who are in like this international level of play. And then like that's getting me recognition to go elsewhere, to like Kevin McCory with Rugby Atlanta, and then like Rick Salizo with New York. And it's just like it's crazy, that like someone who didn't think that it could be anything other than just like a footy match in university, getting by, but also having a good time with the boys. It's like it can truly, if you chase it and you, like you said, like give it 110% and literally just like buy into the process, man. Like, oh, it really is like truly remarkable for people when they truly just like say, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. And like you see it so many times, bro, like on like other podcasts and like just other interviews with people. They're just like, yo, like, they made like a stand, like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it for as long as I possibly can, and I'm going to enjoy the entire ride, because like whether I become the best or if I become like middle, it doesn't matter, or the worst. Like as long as I'm enjoying myself throughout the entire process, doesn't matter where I'm at. Like I think that's what matters the most. And obviously we live in a society where you have to put food on the table. It's not given to you. You have to work for it, and the MLR has been able to be a door open for me as far as putting food on the table and like being able to like provide for myself and provide for my family. So it's just remarkable where the sport's going and where it's taken me, and like where it can take countless other people as well. Like I know so many guys in Lindenwood who are just like wanting to get to that next level, which is like either the MLR or overseas to France or just wherever. It doesn't matter. It's just like that's their dream. It's like if you want it, then you just have to put your head down and grind and be happy with wherever you are right now. Because people struggle, man. It's just simple as that. Like you might not make a roster all season, and it's just like if you just take it in for what it is, like this is where I am right now, isn't the finish line. Right now, I'm in the middle of what can be a great learning experience. And I think if a lot of people get a hold of that concept, man, we're gonna see a lot of amazing American rugby players coming out of like universities and like really preparing for that 2031 World Cup, man. Like it is so cool to see that being an aspect of things. Like the fact that that's a possibility, and not even a possibility, that it is going to happen, man. It's just like it's truly remarkable.
It's unreal. You'll be there as well.
Hey.
What'll you be then? 33-ish?
few extra gray hairs.
At your peak, yeah. Oh, and when you mentioned the journey there, of course, meeting the Scrum Lord Brownie as well in Lindenwood.
Oh, how could I not forget that man? That man is amazing. He reaches out every once in a while, man, and like me and him could chat for days. I'm really looking forward to the day where I get to see that guy again. Last time I saw him was in the semifinal match against the Army for them. I was announcing, and I was just like, it's just like it never even left. Like the dude was just like right back where we left off. Just a great human being. Josh Macy as well. I'm here with Jimmy Harrison, which is always so
Oh,
good. So
Jimmy,
it's like I feel like I'm not too far away from home when he's nearby. But man, like just like I said, just like people along the way with my journey have just been nothing but grateful for them all. It's just truly amazing. Brownie, Macy, Jimmy, like it's been class. Really
yeah,
can't complain.
brilliant. Tell Jimmy I said hi while you're there. And
Yeah, definitely.
you've been unreal your time, but been unreal chatting. What advice would you give a young player? Like you talk about those kids in college in America, and you know there's so much happening. What advice, if you could chat to say a young college kid in America that wants to go pursue rugby, what would you say to them?
I probably like what I would do. I would do this. I would look him in the eyes and I'd be like, listen, man, like if this is what you want to do, just buy into it and just be okay with wherever you are right now. Because at the end of the day, like all you have is today. All you have is right now. And if rugby is what you want to do, or playing professional sports what you want to do, like just be happy with where you are now because you'll look back, 10, 15 years from now knowing that like I literally gave everything I had. And that's okay. And you just have to also be okay with knowing that like if you don't achieve your dreams, it's all about the journey at the end of the day, anyways. As long as you're enjoying the process, that's what matters. And all I can say is I say this to everyone, even when they're about to leave the door, I'm like, yo man, enjoy yourself. Like it's just like it's as simple as that. Like whatever you do, just enjoy yourself and enjoy the process. I think that's all we can do in this life. And,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love it. I love it. I couldn't agree more. And I wish I heard that when I was younger, a bit younger. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well,
no
hey,
man.
Bud, thanks a mil for your time. Been unreal chatting, and best of luck for the rest of the tour.
Cheers, Brian. It's been a class, man. It's been a super class hearing from you, bro, and always feel like chatting with you, man. And just about my journey. It's super fun to just chat with you, bro. Like I missed you, man, and it's really good to hear from you.
Cheers, bro. Thanks.